Today we're going to be trying out NARS Orgasm on the Beach Cheek Face Palette. This one's for $59. This is limited edition and it does come with 6 different shades. These are cheek shades and I'm really excited to test this out. We're going to see how does it blend, how does it look on, is this actually worth picking up. If you guys haven't heard of NARS Orgasm Blush, you guys, it's really popular. It's been around for a really long time and that's one of their most popular blushes, and this palette was inspired by it. This is supposed to have like a golden corally undertone and it's supposed to be really easy to blend. It's supposed to have a skin-like finish, so we're gonna go ahead and dive on in and try them on today, every single one of them. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Of course, everything will be linked down below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos just like this one because it really does help out my channel. And as always, let's dive on in and try them on. I do want to apologize really quickly because there's a little fly in here. And let me tell you, I'm trying to get a hold of him, but he is so tiny, girl. I cannot find him when I need to get him, you know what I mean? So I don't want to waste any more time. I want to dive on into today's video and not let the fly get in the way, but just wanted to mention it in case, you know, you see him visiting our perimeters for today's video. So if you love rose gold, I think you're gonna like this palette just because it does look really luxe. I feel like it has like a pinky, peachy, kind of like metallic undertone to it. It's kind of thick and chunky, but I feel like considering you're receiving 6 different blushes, I don't mind it just because that means you're receiving a lot more product. On the back of packaging, it does list the names of each of the cheek colors that you're receiving in your palette. You are also receiving 0.10 fluid ounces. And by the way, it does have a really nice size mirror. Here are the quads. And to be really honest, I feel like they're kind of small, but I feel like they're the perfect size that my blush brush will fit perfectly in each of these pans. I do like the color range of it. They all look very different from one another. And so far the color story is really good. I think everyone will find something that works really well for their undertone. And to be really honest, it does kind of have like a shimmery iridescent undertone to it. So I can see where they mention it's going to give you like a skin-like finish. So that's the only thing. I'm a little worried that some of them might end up looking like highlighters, and I'm not a huge fan of it just because I'm thinking they're supposed to be like blushes, but obviously it depends on your skin tone. I'm a little worried about Turtle Bay, which is this really pretty light type of blush. Kind of has like a golden undertone to it. I feel like once I apply that on, I feel like it's gonna look like highlighter girl just because I'm a little too tan for a shade or cheek shade just like that one. But I feel like the rest of them, they might actually show up on the top of my cheekbones, but we will see. By the way, the last time I ever tried Orgasm or Super Orgasm blushes was probably like 6 years ago, probably 10 years ago. Whenever they launched those blushes, I was obsessed with them. I wore them all the time. I think I bought a limited edition palette that they included each of those shades and I wore it to the pan, you guys. It was so good. I just never really repurchased it again because buying individually is a little expensive. So today I'm really excited to test this out and see if I'm still in love with Orgasm, which is included in this palette, which is on the bottom center of the palette. So we will see if it's still like a blush or cheek shade that I would actually still wear, because my taste in makeup has definitely changed throughout the years. So I feel like I'm rambling on. Let's go ahead and dive on in. I already have all of my blush brushes ready, so we're gonna dive on in. And the first blush brush that I'm gonna pick up is from BH Cosmetics, which by the way, I will have everything linked down below. I'm gonna go ahead and dive my brush into Turtle Bay, which is this pretty shimmery light cheek shade. And I'm just gonna go ahead and apply it on the top of my cheekbones and then try to build it as much as I can so we can see, you know, what we can really get when it comes to, you know, this cheek shade. So I did my best to build the pigmentation to Turtle Bay as much as I could, but to be really honest, there isn't really much of a pigmentation, at least for my skin tone. I'm not really sure how it would look on someone who's a lot fairer than I, but it does have a really pretty luminous finish. I'll throw an up close clip so you can see for yourself. It's really pretty. It has like a natural kind of glow. It gives you like a natural glow from within. I think this would be a perfect topper to apply over a blush of your liking. So you have a blush and then you apply this over it and it'll give a really beautiful luminous finish. But just alone, it's not doing it for me. I personally feel like I need a blush. You know, I need it to look a little bit more pigmented. So we're gonna move on to our next shade. I'm gonna go in with my BH Cosmetics Angled Blush Brush, dive my brush into Montezuma. And it's this really pretty orangey blush shade. I'm gonna dive my brush into that cheek color and then try to build as much as I can. And so far I'm not noticing any fallout, by the way, which is perfect because when it comes to NARS, I would expect it for it not to have any fallout because it is so high end. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply a little bit of Montezuma on the top of my cheekbones, and I'm gonna try to build this cheek shade as much as I can so we can see, you know, what it's all about. Now for Montezuma, I have finished applying her on, and as expected, she's definitely more pigmented than Turtle Bay. I love the pigmentation to it, very unique, very pretty. And I personally like it. I love that it has a really pretty luminous finish. It looks like a natural glow from within, and it's just subtle, but at the same time you can notice it on, and I just really like it. But as an FYI, I did have to dab my brush into this palette multiple times trying to build it to what it's looking currently right now. So just as an FYI, this definitely applies on like with a really light natural pigmentation, but you can build it to your personal liking, especially if you're someone like me, you know, who likes blush. You're gonna definitely see it on and you're gonna find yourself building it and dabbing your brush into it. So that's just as an FYI, but let me give you an up close clip again and a side-by-side comparison of Turtle Bay and Montezuma. Comment down below. What do you guys think so far? Let me know also if you like cheek products like this that has like a luminous type of finish. Comment down below. I'm really curious to see if this actually is something that people, you know, are interested in. So I'm gonna go ahead and quickly, you know, remove the cheek colors that I've applied on and then move on to the next two blush shades that we have here in our palette. I am back, so we're gonna move on to Orgasm, which is their most well-known blush, which is on the bottom center of this palette, which is a really pretty peachy type of a blush. It does have an iridescent finish. I feel like they all do in this palette, and I'm really excited to test this out. I'm gonna go in with my Firma angled blush brush. This is the 103 brush, and I'm just gonna go ahead and dab my brush into Orgasm and try to build as much as I can, like build the pigmentation on my brush. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply on this cheek color, and I'm gonna try my best to build it as much as I can, just because we already know that it does apply on really sheer, but this is definitely something that you can build the pigmentation to your liking. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply it on and see, you know, what it's all about. All right, so I did my best in building its pigmentation into Orgasm, and to be really honest, I went in at least more than 10 times into this palette trying to build the pigmentation, and I'll throw in a close clip so you can see how it's currently looking. Comment down below on your thoughts. It definitely has a luminous finish. It kind of looks like I have a highlighter on. It's not as pigmented as I thought it would be, so I'm a little disappointed, but you can definitely, at least here when I'm looking at myself in the mirror, I can definitely see that I have like a light sheer of like a light type of blush on the top of my cheekbones, but I don't know if it's gonna be noticeable on camera, but it's really, really pretty. It does have a peachy pinky undertone to it, which I personally really, really like. So now we're gonna move on to our next cheek color here in our palette, which is called the Naples, and it's this really pretty, it has like kind of rosy undertone. I'm not sure it's gonna look on camera, but it's really, really pretty. I'm not sure if it's gonna show up on camera. I'm a little worried that it might be a little light for me. And I'm gonna go in with my Real Techniques. This is called the Angled Multitasking Brush, which I personally love, and I like to use it as a blush brush just because it's nice and fluffy and it does have like a slight angle to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and dab my brush into this palette, and I'm gonna do my best to try to build this cheek color as much as I can, and I'm hoping and crossing my fingers, girl, that we're able to see it on the top of my cheekbones. I did my best to build Naples as much as I could, and let me tell you, Naples is not playing, okay? In this palette, I feel like Naples is way more luminous than I feel like the rest of the cheek colors that I've applied on. It's just looking really, really shimmery. It looks like I've applied highlighter just on the top of my cheekbones, or basically on my cheeks. I feel like it's looking a little muddy. I don't feel like it looks like I have a blush on. It just looks, I don't know, I just don't like the pigment to it. I don't feel like it complements my skin tone really well. Let me give you a up close clip of Orgasms. Do you see the difference? I feel like Orgasm looks luminous, but not as shimmery as Naples. Do you see that? Comment down below if you guys see it, or am I the only one? Obviously, I'll see once I'm editing this video, but at least in person, I just feel like Naples is looking really, really like it's beaming, girl. So it's a little aggressive. That is the only thing. All right, I've reset my whole makeup situation. Let's go ahead and dive on in to the last two blush shades we have here in our palette that we have yet to try out. And it is called Mandalay and Zuma, which are these last two shades right over here. I'm gonna go ahead and start off with this really pretty reddish type of blush, just because I feel like it's definitely gonna be super pigmented, just because it looks super pigmented. So I'm gonna go in with my Beach Cosmetics brush. I think this is like a face brush, but to be honest, I don't really have any other blush brushes to use. I've already used up all the ones that I cleaned. So we're gonna go ahead and dive on in, and I'm just gonna go ahead and apply a little bit of this cheek color on the top of my cheekbones, and I'm just gonna go ahead and try to build it as much as I can. And so far, same situation as all the rest. It applies on really, really lightly, but this is definitely something you can build. I feel like if you go in with your blush brush and you just kind of like wiggle your brush into the palette, it will pick up more of the cheek color. But so far, personally, I like it. It's blending really nicely. I love the pigmentation to it. It's really, really nice. Very, very different than anything that I currently have in my palette. It's really, really pretty without being too pigmented and too loud. So I'm just gonna go and apply a little bit more on, just to kind of give it a little bit more pigment. But so far, what was that, like 3-4 little dips into the palette, wiggling my brush? It did more than enough. So let me give you an up close clip of how this shade is currently looking. And it is really, really pretty, you guys. I love this color. Very, very nice. So with my angled blush brush, I'm gonna go into Zuma, this really pretty chocolate brown cheek color, and I'm gonna go ahead and try to build as much pigment as I can. And so far, you guys, I don't notice any fallout at all. With all the little wiggling that I'm doing with these brushes, no fallout, which is a big plus. And as expected, like I mentioned to you guys before, because it is NARS, you know, we expect a lot from it, and the formula needs to be perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull back my hair. And by the way, my mirror is right over here. So if I'm looking this way, it is because I wanna make sure that I'm applying this on correctly. And I'm just gonna go ahead and build this color as much as I can. So I did my best and applied on Zuma. Let me give you an up close clip of how Zuma is currently looking on the top of my cheekbones, and let me tell you, it is really, really pretty. Has a really nice luminous finish. It blended really nicely. Let me give you a side-by-side comparison of Mandalay, and they both blended really nicely, you guys. So far, I don't have any complaints. I love how subtle the color is, and it just looks like almost like my cheekbone, like a little indentation. But it looks really nice, like a nice flush of color. Keep in mind that I did have to go into the pan at least 5 to 6 times trying to build the pigmentation to Zuma to get the look that I'm currently having on the top of my cheekbones. But so far, I love the luminous finish. Obviously, out of all 6 blush shades, there's only 2 that I found having, you know, that were a little too light for me. That was Turtle, what is it called? Turtle Bay. And then the other one was Naples. Naples just looked like a highlighter. It was just too luminous. It didn't have enough of a pigmentation to it. And if it did, it kind of looked like kind of muddy on the top of my cheekbones or generally in this area. So I'm not a fan of Naples. But Turtle Bay was really, really pretty. It just looked like a highlighter. I didn't see any pigment at all to it, at least for me. And that's something that I would definitely use, but only use it like a highlighter in certain areas of my face where I do want a luminous finish. But overall, I think this palette is very specific. It depends on what you're looking for. If you like luminous type of blushes like this or cheek colors, then this might be it for you. If you like something that's really pigmented, this might not be it for you, because you will find yourself dipping your brush into this palette trying to build the pigmentation to your personal liking. So that is the only thing, so beware. But I do love that there was no fallout whatsoever. They all blended really nicely, no patchiness. It enhanced the texture. It gives you a beautiful glow from within. It definitely feels really lightweight, and I love the packaging to it. It looks really luxe. Of course, we expect that from NARS, and you have received a really nice size mirror. I feel like $59. I definitely feel like it's somewhat worth it, just because you are receiving 6 different colors for you to play with, and you typically find at least 2 or 3 that you end up really using and really loving. And so I feel like in that sense, it is definitely worth it, because if you buy them individually, it is way more expensive buying them individually, and at least everything is nice and compact. You can find everything in one place, perfect for travel, or if you're building your makeup collection and you need blushes, this will be nice. But I feel like this is very specific in the sense that I wish it had, you know, variety of some mattes and some luminous type of cheek colors, just because they are all luminous and you don't really get a large variety here. You get variety in the pigment and the color story of this palette, but not in the finishes of these cheek colors. So that is the only thing. I think it's just really specific depending on what you like personally and what you like on for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions whatsoever, as always, comment down below, ask away. I'm always here to help. Also, everything will be linked down below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you all, as always, in my next video. I love you all so much. Bye!